Most tier lists give you rankings without explaining the builds behind them. We don't do surface level rankings here. In this video, I'll break down every single class in Season 10, covering the absolute strongest build for each class, why it dominates, and how it performs in high-tier content. You'll see the tier list build progressively as we analyze each class, so stick around to see the complete rankings. By the end, you'll know exactly which class has the most broken builds for Season 10. Let's dive into the meta that actually matters. Druid, Puddle Pulverize. Starting with Druid, a class that's receiving massive improvements in Season 10, Puddle Pulverize with Chaos Armor. This build is completely transformed in Season 10. The Chaos Armor system allows you to equip Rotting Lightbringer as armor pieces while using a different weapon. We're talking about a build that received nearly 20 times damage multiplier compared to previous seasons. Why it's overpowered. Poison Pulverize combines highest damage and best scaling in all content, with bugs now fixed and massive Chaos Armor synergies. The automation from Wild Transformation Chaos Power creates constant poison puddle explosions that deal trillions of damage. Performance reality. This isn't just strong, it's setting new standards. Season 10 data shows consistent pit 120 to 140 clears with room for optimization. The scaling feels infinite because enemy density increases your damage exponentially. Gear dependency, surprisingly accessible. Core mechanics work with basic aspects, and Chaos Armor enhances rather than enables. Once you get Rotting Lightbringer in any armor slot, the power spike is astronomical. Druid's transformation in Season 10 is nothing short of remarkable. This class went from solid to absolutely dominant. Tier list graphic. Druid placed in S+ tier. Barbarian, multi-skill. Moving to Barbarian, a class that unfortunately continues to face challenges in Season 10. Multi-skill Whirlwind with Saber of Sascal. This build represents Barbarian's best attempt at relevance in Season 10. The unique weapon rewards multiple damaging skills, and Chaos Armor allows some interesting combinations. Why it's not enough. While Barbarians received some improvements, the changes are incremental rather than transformative. The class functions and can clear content, but requires significantly more investment than what we've seen from Druid builds for comparable results. Performance reality. Pit 115 to 120 is realistic with heavy optimization, but this represents the ceiling rather than comfortable territory. The single target damage can be impressive, but area clear and efficiency lag behind significantly. Gear dependency, high investment required with Saber of Sascal being essential. Even with perfect gear, the performance doesn't justify the cost compared to alternatives. Barbarian received help in Season 10, but the improvements feel insufficient for the current meta's power level. Tier list graphic, Barbarian placed in S- tier. Spiritborn, Touch of Death. Spiritborn continues to evolve and adapt to Season 10's new systems. Touch of Death Poison build. Spiritborn represents one of the strongest single-player builds in Season 10. This build combines massive poison DOT with explosive detonations from Insatiable Aspect. The synergy with Rod of Kepaleke and Harmony of Ibawaka creates damage scaling that competes directly with what we saw from Druid. Why it's still dominant. Spiritborn received no nerfs prior to Season 10 launch and instead received additional ultimate ability buffs, Payback and Crushing Hand. Builds are also performing excellently, giving this class incredible build diversity that surpasses both Druid and Barbarian options. Performance reality, consistent pit 120 to 140 clears depending on optimization. The build excels at both single target destruction and area clear. Touch of Death's poison explosions can clear entire screens when properly set up. Gear dependency requires specific uniques like Rod of Kepaleke and Harmony of Ibawaka, but they're farmable from specific bosses. Once assembled, the scaling matches what we've seen from top-tier builds. Spiritborn proves that well-designed classes can evolve with new systems while maintaining their competitive edge. Tier list graphic, Spiritborn placed in S+ tier. Rogue, Deathtrap. Rogue faces fundamental challenges that Season 10's systems couldn't fully address. Deathtrap build. Deathtrap represents Rogue's strongest option in Season 10, especially after receiving comprehensive buffs to core abilities with 150% damage increases. Deathtrap can be converted into a core ability and benefits from the core skill bonuses, potentially bringing this build back into relevance. Why it's limited. Despite the significant buffs, Rogue's core scaling mechanics still hit walls that other classes simply don't face. While the Deathtrap improvements help, the fundamental issues with resource management and damage scaling remain compared to what we've seen from Druid, Barbarian, and Spiritborn builds. Performance reality. Pit 115 to 120 represents the practical ceiling with significant investment. The Death Trap build performs better in specific content like Infernal Hordes, but requires even more optimization than Barbarian to reach competitive numbers in general content. Gear dependency? Extremely high investment required for modest returns. You need optimization in every slot to achieve what other classes accomplish with basic setups, though the core skill conversion helps with some scaling issues. For detailed build guides and optimization tips for all classes, check the Mobalytics links in the description. Our Discord community is also incredibly helpful for theory crafting and getting specific advice on making struggling builds work better. Tier list graphic, Rogue placed in S- tier. Sorcerer, Ball Lightning. Sorcerer is much stronger than before with the new Chaos perks in Season 10. Ball Lightning with Mana Shield. Ball Lightning becomes S tier with the new Galvanic Azurite unique, while the Mana Shield Chaos perk revolutionizes how Sorcerer approaches combat. With Mana Shield, all your life becomes your mana, and your mana is reduced when you take damage. This means we no longer need to spend gear and Paragon points on maximum life, allowing us to go directly into damage and mana-focused builds. Why it's exceptional. Unlike the power-focused builds we've seen from Druid and Spiritborn, Sorcerer excels in efficiency and speed farm capability. The Hydra build remains S tier for pit pushing, though the Serpentine aspect nerf means it requires better gear and more effort for high-tier content. For speed farm and leveling, Chain Lightning is incredibly strong, because both construction and leveling are very easy with sufficient damage. Performance reality. Pit pushing reaches 120 to 130 comfortably, which puts it above both Barbarian and Rogue for raw numbers. While Sorcerer has not always been the best option for pit pushing, this season shows significant improvements. The real strength remains speed farm capability. Sorcerer is the fastest class for speed farm and speedrun content, as always. Gear dependency. If you get the necessary parts like Galvanic Azurite at an early stage, it can be much faster to transition to endgame builds. The Mana Shield changes make gearing more straightforward by removing life requirements. Sorcerer proves that smart Chaos perk integration can elevate a class while maintaining its core identity as the speed farm champion. Tier list graphic. Sorcerer placed in S tier. Necromancer, Shadow Blight. Necromancer rounds out our analysis as the consistent middle ground performer. Shadow Blight with Wither synergies. This build represents Necromancer's peak potential in Season 10. Wither makes shadow damage have a 20% chance to deal 300% increased damage, and when combined with Shadow Blight scaling, the numbers become impressive. Why it's reliable. Necromancer offers more consistent performance than what we've seen from Barbarian and Rogue, while requiring less optimization than the peak performers like Druid and Spiritborn. The build provides good damage, manageable resource costs, and built-in survivability compared to the extremes we've analyzed. Performance reality. Pit 120 to 125 is realistic with proper setup. This places it between the efficiency of Sorcerer builds and the struggles of lower-tier options. The burst windows can compete when everything aligns properly. Gear dependency requires understanding of shadow damage stacking, but not the unique dependency we've seen from other builds. The learning curve is manageable compared to optimization-heavy alternatives. Necromancer doesn't lead any category, but it also doesn't fail at any. It represents the dependable middle ground of Season 10's meta. Tier list graphic. Necromancer placed in S tier. There's your complete Season 10 tier list based on each class's absolute strongest build potential. S+ tier. Druid, Spiritborn, the undisputed meta kings with game-breaking builds. S tier, Sorcerer, Necromancer, strong performers with clear strengths and solid scaling. S- tier, Barbarian, Rogue, functional but requiring more investment for less reward. This ranking reflects maximum potential with optimization. The gap between tiers is significant, with S+ builds setting entirely new performance standards, while S- builds struggle to justify their investment costs. Which class's performance surprised you the most? Drop your Season 10 plans in the comments, and if this breakdown helped you choose your main, hit that like button. Season 10's meta is more defined than ever. Choose based on your goals and investment capacity.